Good morning, Highland students and staff. It is time to be ready, be respectful, and be responsible. It is Monday, November 12th, 2018. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then be seated and enjoy our tribute to American veterans?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away, until we meet once more. Wishing you a happy voyage home. Over hill, over dale, we have hit the dusty trail as those caissons go rolling along. Counter march, right about, hear the flag soldiers shout as those caissons go rolling along. First we'll fight for rights and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, looking high into the sky. We live and live, go down in flames. Nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force.
Why did you join your branch of service?
I joined because I wanted to. I was going to college and I had finished 1 year and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I thought it would be a good idea to try and see if I could discover new things to do. So I thought the Marine Corps would be a good adventure.
How long were you in service?
I was in service for 4 years, so yeah.
What rank were you while you were in service?
So I started out as a private, and then by the time I did my tour, I was a sergeant at the end, after right at the very end, because it takes a few years to get your ranking. So yeah.
Did you enjoy being in service?
Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I actually enjoyed it a lot. I think one of the best experiences was meeting new people. I really like meeting new people, and I went to different places, and I lived in North Carolina, which I've never lived in, this kind of southern part of the United States, so that was kind of a new experience for me, and I got to travel to other countries. But in the end, like meeting like different types of people and learning from them, I think that was like the best part, was like the people and the friendships. And yeah.
What was your family's reaction when you returned home?
Well, yeah, when I left, my mom and dad were not very happy because they didn't like the idea of me going to the military, and they were afraid and stuff. But when I came back, they were extremely happy when I came back, and I came back home, and they were very happy.
Does your phone carrier offer a special veterans plan? If so, what carrier is it?
It doesn't, but I'm cheap, so I have like Cricket, and like they have a great. I like it because they're part of AT&T, and they are cheap, and the service is great. So that's what I use.
Okay. What was your general or boss like?
Yeah, so like in the military, you have different ranks, and and then you have like the sergeant who's in charge that drills, and then you have like it's all different types of ranking. But as far as the people that I worked with and like the people who I had to report to, they in general they were pretty good. They sometimes you know, in the military, there are some things you have to do, and sometimes it gets intense. And so in those times, it wasn't a lot of fun, especially when you get yelled at and stuff, because, you know, they want you to be the best you can be. So getting yelled at is not fun, but at the same time, I knew that that was part of their job, and they were trying to do their job and try to teach me and direct me. So actually, the people were really good. I'm surprised how, you know, like everybody worked together. So I would say I had a good experience with that.
Okay. What does it feel like being a veteran?
How does it feel like? I'm proud that I served. I would do it all over again. I mean, because I grew as a person, and it's something that, like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life. Because a lot of times people say, "Oh, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that." When I graduated high school, and when I had my first year of college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought, that really gave me direction. So I feel good about that, and it helped me grow as a person. Plus, I did something, and so I am very proud of serving the United States.
What was your favorite and least favorite part?
My least favorite, boot camp was tough. So, like, in boot camp, they're sometimes trying to brainwash you a little bit. I don't know if you've ever seen military movies, but sometimes they break you down and then they build you up. So the breaking down part, where they just kind of are really hard on you, and they try to make you a different person. So that the change and trying to deal with that, it was hard, like the boot camp part. But then afterwards, when I went into so after the boot camp, you get an MO, which is a military occupation. So I got a job with the Corps of Engineers. So I went to electrical school, and I learned a trade. So that was really great. And then being out in the field and working with the different units and working and doing my job, that was the best part. So I really enjoyed learning, and so I learned a lot in the military doing that.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
Do you get many discounts on Veterans Day or on any day?
Discounts. Okay. Right now, like, they passed a law, I think it was last year, but anyways, all veterans can actually shop at the Army Exchange online. So they have the Navy Exchange, they have the Army Exchange, and now all veterans can shop there, so you can get some pretty good deals. So yes, I would say yes, especially coming up, because they have all kinds of deals on stuff on there. So if anybody's a veteran here, you can join the Army Exchange and shop there. Yeah.
Why did you join your branch of service?
I did not join. I was drafted in November of 1970. So that meant I had to go by the government standards. So I did not enlist until I actually had to, but I was drafted.
How long were you in service?
I was in 21 months. Spent 14 months overseas.
Did you enjoy being in service?
Yes and no. Some of it was very rough, but other parts was very enjoyable.
Do you have any good stories to take away from this experience?
Well, I was stationed in Germany, and I got to travel to a lot of different countries, which I probably never would have gone to.
What rank were you while you were in service?
I was a Spec 4, Specialist E4.
Did you keep in contact with anyone you knew?
No, I didn't, because a lot of the people I made friends with were not there the next day, and it was not a time to be close to anybody, really, no.
What was your general like?
I don't remember any generals. I remember some colonels, and my first sergeant was a very, very great guy.
What was adjusting like when you first started, and how hard was it to adjust when you got home?
Well, I was 20 years old when I got drafted. Being told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it was a big adjustment to me. When I came back out of the service, I went right back to college. I had trouble being around civilians. I was used to being told when to do it and how to do it. So I had an adjustment period as to being around general society.
Would you recommend other people to join?
Yes, but it's not for everybody.
Why did you join your branch of service?
I had family members that had been in the Navy. I had had several uncles, and I had also been approached with an opportunity for educational benefits, which really helped me since I was going to college.
Did you enjoy being in the service?
greatly. It was fun, it was exciting, sometimes scary, but I definitely enjoyed all the travel. That it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Do you have any fun stories to take away from this experience?
My favorite story that comes up: when I was stationed in Spain, we went to watch the running of the bulls, and I jumped off the wall. I thought it was over, and next thing you know, here's about a 900-pound bull chasing me down the street. So I did get to run with the bulls.
What were your expectations going in?
I really didn't think I'd stay in that long. I thought I'd be in briefly and then out. I never in my life planned on retiring.
How long were you in the service?
I was in 23 years.
What rank were you while you were in the service?
I was a chief petty officer, which is senior enlisted, so I had 6 pay grades below me. I was basically a supervisor.
Do you keep contact with anyone you knew?
I still see some of my friends often, at least once a year. Sometimes I see them monthly.
What was your admiral like?
In the Navy, admirals are pretty high up. I didn't see many admirals, but I did get to see a few, interacted with them. Very good leaders. Some of the people right above me, I served with some excellent leaders.
What was your family's reaction when you would return home?
It all depended on how long I was gone. If it was a couple days, not so bad. Couple weeks, reaction was pretty good. When I was deployed overseas, that's the longest I was away from my family. We were separated for 4 months. Pretty emotional when I got off the airplane.
What was adjusting like when you first started?
When I first started, it was a huge adjustment because I was being sent to California for boot camp, and I had never flown on an airplane before, so that was a big adjustment. When I got there, I had people yelling at me. I didn't have much sleep. It was something else. And then the middle, most of that was fine. Towards the end, when I became a chief petty officer and had to go through that training again, a lot of yelling, not much sleep. It was stressful.
How hard was it to adjust when you returned home?
When I came back, it wasn't too bad. Very emotional for my family. Separation was hard at that time. So,
Would you recommend joining the Navy to other people?
I would definitely recommend it. The military isn't for everybody, but it was definitely the right course for me. I came away more disciplined, organized. It was very good.
What does it feel like being a veteran?
For the most part, I feel like I just did my job. I'm happy with all of my accomplishments, but a lot of veterans will say I was just there doing my job.
Veterans Day originated as Armistice Day on November 11, 1919, the first anniversary of the end of World War I. Congress passed a resolution in 1926 for an annual observance, and November 11th became the national holiday beginning in 1938.
World War I, known at times as the Great War, officially ended when the Treaty of Versailles was signed on June 28, 1919, in the Palace of Versailles, outside the town of Versailles, France. However, fighting ceased 7 months earlier when an armistice, or temporary cessation of hostilities between the Allied nations and Germany, went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. For that reason, November 11th, 1918 is generally regarded as the end of the war to end all wars.
In November 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first proclamation of Armistice Day with the following words: "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service, and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing which it has freed us, and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her symphony with peace and justice in the councils of the nations."
The original concept for the celebration was for a day observed with parades and public meetings, and a brief suspension of business beginning at 11 a.m.
The United States Congress officially recognized the end of World War I
when it passed the concurrent resolution on June 4th, 1926.
An act of Congress approved May 13, 1938, made the 11th of November in each year a legal holiday, a day to be dedicated to the cause of world peace and to be thereafter celebrated and known as Armistice Day. Armistice Day was primarily a day set aside to honor veterans of World War I. But in 1954, after World War II had required the greatest mobilization of soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen in the nation's history.
After American forces had fought aggression on Korea, the 83rd Congress, at the urging of the veteran service organizations, admitted the Act of 1938 by striking out the word armistice and inserting it in the place of the word veterans. With the approval of the legislation's Public Law 380 on June 1st, 1954, November 11th became a day to honor American veterans of all wars.
Later that same year, on October 8th, President Dwight D. Eisenhower issued the first Veterans Day proclamation, which stated, "In order to ensure proper and widespread observance this anniversary, all veterans organizations, and the entire citizenry will wish to join hands in the common purpose. Towards this end, I am designated the Administrator of Veterans Affairs as Chairman of Veterans Day National Committee, which shall include each other as persons as chairman may select, and which will coordinate the national level necessary planning for the observance. I am also requesting the heads of all departments and agencies of the executive branch of the government to assist the National Committee in every way possible."
In 1968, the Uniform Holiday Bill was signed, which moved the observance of Veterans Day to the closest Monday. It was quite apparent that the commemoration of this day was a matter of historic and patriotic significance to a great number of our citizens. And so on September 20th, 1975, President Gerald R. Ford signed the Public Law 9497, which returned the annual observance of Veterans Day to its original date of November 11th, beginning in 1978. This action supported the desires of the overwhelming majority of the state legislators, all major veterans and service organizations, and the American people.
Veterans Day continues to be observed on November 11th, regardless of what day of the week on which it falls. The restoration of the observance of Veterans Day on November 11th not only preserves the historical significance of the date, but helps focus attention on the important purpose of Veterans Day, a celebration to honor America's veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good.
Today, November 12th, we will ask you to stand in a silent reflection to honor all those who have served our nation. But we also hope that you will take time all this week to reflect on those who have served, talk to someone about those who have served or is actively serving, and thank those that you see who have served or are serving. Please stand in a silent reflection.